couple different reasons.
Good evening and welcome to We the Village, produced by Ron Hall, and I am your host, Sharonda Allen. I am very elated this episode to have Mr. Jimmy Small and Mr. Abdul Hasan here with me. So the first thing I want to do is ask if, first, Mr. Small, could you just give us a little bio of yourself? What's your background? What have you been doing?
Well, if you're in East Orange and you know there's an up the way and down the way, I'm from down the way. I grew up in the neighborhoods where Dionne Warwick and Naughty by Nature are from. I'm a product of the East Orange School District, and I have a BA and MA from Rutgers. I spent some time in the Navy. I am also been very politically involved in a lot of community activities within East Orange, serving on the city council for 2 terms. I was on the library. I've been on the library board for the last 12 years. I also served a number of other positions, like president of my block association, and I'm the county committee chairperson for the 3rd Ward. And that's a little me in a synopsis.
Thank you so much. You wear so many hats, but when you want to get things done, you got to wear many hats. Sometimes you can't just stay in one area.
Correct.
So, yes. So, Mr. Hassan, give us a little synopsis of your background. Who are you? Where are you from? What organization
Listen,
are you part of?
I'm from EO. I mean East Orange, born and bred East Orange, and grew up public schools
Yes.
from K through 8. Middle school, East Orange High School, class of 1974. Went to Rutgers in New Brunswick, came out of there in 1978, left there, decided to pursue MA in special education. Went to New Jersey City University, and after that did a supervisory at King College, and that allowed me to not only teach, and I was coaching 2 sports, football, basketball in the East Orange district, and then I did 9 years as the athletic director. And while doing that, the state wanted me to work with them that oversees and governs the sports, the NJSIA. I was with them for 6 years. So I learned a lot, and Big Brother here taught me a lot. So we stay involved, in a lot of different ways and a lot of different things, and we care about the youth.
Yes.
I can tell you that.
Yes. I'm very much involved in the youth. So, what are some of your past involvement, like with the youth and in your community? I know you've worn lots of hats, professionally, but what are some of the other things that you've done in the community? I'll start with you, Mr. Small.
As I stated, I've been a coach for
Yes.
31 years, and what enthralls me is when I see these young men and young women that are grown, and in some cases I'm coaching their children, and in a few cases their grandchildren.
Wow.
As I said, I served as the parent organization president in many, many capacities, including, I'm sorry if I give the old names, Elmwood School, which I think is Langston Hughes now, served as PTA president. We used to have movies. We used to do some mentorship programs there. We established the PTA at East Orange Campus High School, and as far as I know, it's still working well. And just a whole plethora of things. As library board president, we have an ESL program for kids. We have cooking programs. We have robotics and STEM. And this is just for the small kids. And in each week, we have a movie where your parents can bring their children in, and they can see a recent movie. And just like in a movie setting, you get some popcorn and some juice.
Nice. Gives the kids a little recreation.
Yes, it does.
Right.
Hmm.
So what are some of the current activity, well, past and current activities you are involved with, Mr. Hasan?
Well, some I want to talk about, some I don't. But well, teaching to me was one thing. I ran a program at the high school level called Project Graduation,
Yeah.
and Project Graduation were the most at risk, from Scott over to Campus High School. And I still see my folk, they're grown now, you know, and I love them and they love me. And, you know, I was more in the business of teaching and saving their lives.
Yes.
So I took them to what's called East Jersey State Prison, you know, to expose them to Scared Straight, but only, they also had juvenile awareness program,
Right.
which they would do more talking than, you know, the yelling, because a lot of my students, they couldn't do that. They couldn't stand that. I volunteered as a Little League coach before I even, you know, started coaching on the high school level with Stanley Edwards and the East Orange Rams,
Right.
out of the Oval Park where we grew up. So we grew up in the Oval.
You're so EO,
We
as they
so
say.
EO, that's right.
Yes, that's a great thing. That's
Yeah.
one of the slogans for the city of East Orange. I personally believe there's a beautiful revitalization going on of community and of giving and of caring and being accountable and progress in the city of East Orange. And I say that because I grew up in Newark, but I moved to East Orange when I was 17. I live in East Orange, I teach in East Orange, and I love East Orange. And so I think the three of us really share that love of East Orange. Your roots of East Orange go deeper than mine, but I'm here with you on that, and I know how passionate you guys are about that. So as representatives of the Muslim League of Voters of New Jersey, you know, I know you're involved in some of the politics, being an African American and being a Muslim. You know, I want to find out from you, you know, there's a lot of racial overtones and situations going on in politics right now. What is your view regarding that statement, you know, those issues, being African American and being Muslim, and I would say in the age of Trump?
In the age of Trump, there is, just as you said, a lot of racism that goes on in this voter suppression. That's not, everyone was talking about Georgia, Florida, Mississippi, Texas, but I've seen it here in New Jersey.
Wow.
Christy Whitman, when she was elected governor, that was based on voter suppression in the urban areas, which are mainly black and Hispanic. And this recent new way to vote here in New Jersey, I hope that doesn't come back to bite us, because if you voted by mail in 2016, in 2018 you had to vote. You had to vote by mail again, despite the fact you may have voted on the machine in 2017. Those are the kinds of things that look good now, but come back to haunt you later. Because a lot of folks complain, especially senior citizens, I want to vote on the machine, and we had to cajole them to vote by using this vote by mail ballot. It can work, but it also can't work. If you don't, I'll just say this. Elections have consequences.
Yes, they do.
In the age of Trump, how can a president of the United States set up a cabinet with no people of color as in any real position? I think it's one, maybe two.
Ben Carson.
Ben Carson and McConnell's wife. They're the only two. She's, I think, Secretary of Transportation, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay.
But in this age with Trump, they're doing everything to stop people from voting. A part of the Voting Rights Act of 1965 was stripped, and that was the part that got Kemp able to be elected over our dear sister Abrams down in Georgia. How can you be the Secretary of State watching the ballots and run for the governor, and of course you're going to win?
That's like having the
racism.
fox to watch over the hen
Right.
house. And I think that was a major conflict of interest, and there should have been some sort of federal oversight. There should have been some federal judges to say, hey, you should have relinquished that position, you know, before, or recused yourself of that position before you ran for an office that you oversee in your official government capacity or job. And I don't think that was fair. And of course, when you talked about the voter suppression in the state of Georgia, you know, as Stacey Abrams did not say she conceded because that would be to legitimize Kemp's win, it was not legitimate. And I think that a lot of that voter suppression that they said, you know, some of these Republicans, and I'm not trying to be partisan, but these are some of the things that they said. We need to have voter suppression. It's good because we want to win. How do you actually verbalize that?
Currently, that is what is being said in Mississippi. Mike Espy, he was a congressman representing Jackson, Mississippi. Then when Clinton became the president, he was one of his secretaries. And now Hyde Smith, who said it's okay to have public hangings. But maybe I'm misquoting that.
Well,
but
it was about. I would like to have him front row center for a public hanging, as if that is something you would like to see again. And we have to be careful with these dog whistle statements from politicians because they urge certain people who want to go back to an old way, a way that was very racist and very discriminatory against those who are not in the quote unquote majority, you know.
One last comment on that.
Yeah.
New Jersey was very successful in going. It was already considered a quote unquote blue state. Now it's bluer. We have
Yes.
12 representatives that go to the Congress. Now 11 of those are now going to be Democrats.
11 out of 12.
11 out of the 12
in the state of New
in
Jersey.
the state of New Jersey.
In the House of Representatives.
In the House of Representatives. So when people can see through the racist comments that politicians make, and the last one, Kim, down near the shore, they were saying some horrible things about him.
Yes, they were.
Simply because he's Asian.
Right. And I'm very disturbed. You know, I'm a historian.
I know you are.
I am very disturbed at this overt racism. You know, in the past, we've had this covert racism, you know, these slight, you know, statements, but a lot of these things are overt because I think from the highest office, I think a lot of the people who feel emboldened to make these statements are just coming out and saying things that are just completely off the wall and ridiculous. And I'm concerned about the accountability. So I know, you know, we talked a bit about the racial overtones. Can you guys talk to me about how can people hold these 11 out of the 12 Democrats in the House of Representatives, and of course our 2 senators in the Senate from the state of New Jersey. We have Cory Booker and we have Senator Robert Menendez, who are, you know, we got the 11 Democrats in the House of Representatives, and then our 2 Democratic senators going to Congress to represent New Jersey. What are some of the things that we can do to say, hey, our representatives, I need you to go and represent us and protect us? What are some of the things we can do?
Well, one of the things you can do is register and vote, not register to vote.
Yes.
Register and vote.
And vote.
Whatever roadblocks they have put up against you, figure out a way to meander through that stuff. And stop. And people also need to stop talking about what the election is going to happen in 2020. Every election counts. We
Everyone.
have 2019 coming up, and these starts half the city council's up. The state legislature is the whole thing. The Senate and the
Yes.
Assembly, they're up.
Yes.
So that's what you can do. Figure out ways. Instead of being talking heads on television and radio, sit down in some back rooms and talk as men and women and come up with some strategies. If they move the polling place, then you need to set up history. Let's go back to Birmingham. When they had the Birmingham bus boycott, people sat down and they strategized how to do it. Now we need to do the same thing in 2018 and 19 to make sure that we get people out to vote. And I have to say this, we need to give our accolades to our African-American women who did do due diligence to make sure things got done, especially in Alabama in the special election. And they almost were helpful getting Gillum and Abrams elected in Georgia and Florida. They came close, but because of the voter suppression.
Yes, those ballots.
Right,
there was a teacher in Florida who found a box of uncounted ballots in Florida that was part of the suppression of voters in a very highly minority concentrated voting district. I have some friends down there who were part of the recount and part of holding, folks accountable. And then, even the supervisor of the voting in Broward County, I believe that she just resigned because of all the irregularities. But I just want to get back to some of the accountability of citizens.
Well, I just think, having a background in journalism and communications, it's not just about Trump.
Right.
Okay, it's not just about Trump. Okay, but Trump is what else is going on in the world?
Right.
And what else is going on in the country?
Right.
Okay, but everybody, all of the stations that you watch, if you don't go on the internet, if you don't find out what's going on in Africa, the motherland, okay, if you don't go online, or if you Democracy Now with Amy Goodman, and if you're not looking outside the box,
yes,
if you CNN and you Fox and you
only
MSNBC, if you all these things only, that's all that you get. You get what they give you.
It's mainstream.
It's mainstream. Now, before Trump, okay, because I've been to the pilgrimage in 1998 and in 2003 in Saudi Arabia, and I was held. This was before Trump. I was held over when I came home.
Wow.
Not going when I came home. Coming back. So we have two things, he and I.
Right.
Being black and being Muslim.
Yes.
Okay, we were profiled even before Trump.
Absolutely.
Okay, here in the state of New Jersey, but we also don't have a problem, and we know, and we work with the state police, Homeland Security, any of the I call them first responders.
Yes.
They know us, we know them.
Yes.
And we should work together as people.
Yes.
To protect our state, to protect the country. But with Trump always on saying these things, it's a distraction from the many, many other things, from the global warming.
Yes.
From the people that's starving here in the country and all over the world.
Right. The war in Yemen.
The war in Yemen.
That they are not covering on the mainstream news.
The Yemeni people, they're getting slaughtered over there.
Yes, they are.
And they're getting slaughtered in a whole lot of other places.
Right.
The slave trade.
Oh, in Libya.
In Libya.
Slavery in Libya right now.
Right now.
Yeah.
So it's a whole lot of stuff that, we're not paying attention to. But as far as getting out to vote, we have to get out and vote. We have to put our people in, people that we think we can trust, and hold them accountable. We have to get out and vote. The people that don't know about or don't think they should vote, you are a historian.
Oh yeah.
We have too many people that died for us not to be able.
You know what has been grinding my gears lately? People who have been on the internet or on social media saying, "Why should I vote? They're going to do what they want anyway," and that bothers me, because if you do not have a seat at the table, you will be on the menu.
That's right.
That is a very amazing saying.
They're gonna have you Thursday for Thanksgiving.
Exactly.
And they're gonna have you for Friday for the after.
Exactly, for leftovers.
Leftovers.
And the thing about it is that accountability, like you said, you work with the first responders, you work with these different agencies. That holding them accountable by working with them and participating in what they're doing for the nation, for the people.
Right.
That is how we can hold those people accountable. Going to forums, writing letters. Expressing, maybe I don't agree with that. For example, it's at the state level. How do you feel about what Governor Murphy is doing right now?
Well, he got beat up about this snowstorm. And again, politics is never too far. That has a lot to do with when you cut funds, but weather folks, hey, they make mistakes. And so a lot of the mistakes that Murphy made with that, I will give him credit. He said, yeah, I was wrong. He brought his cabinet on it, and everybody that was in charge of something, and they explained what will not happen next. I'm curious, as we tape this, there's supposed to be another so-called minor snowstorm, but driving here, I saw Brian on the Parkway and Turnpike, so you never know. Basically, he's trying to undo the mess that the former governor did, and
oh boy.
and
Don't
it's
get me
very
started.
hard. There was a tunnel that President Obama proposed to
Yes.
go between New York and New Jersey.
Another Hudson River crossing.
Another Hudson River crossing.
The congestion.
Right.
That would have been great.
Again, politics have consequences.
And there was money for it.
Right. It was money.
Yeah.
The trains are messed up. They're messing
Oh,
up
my
almost
goodness.
every day.
Oh, my
the
goodness.
buses are messing up.
Yeah.
So he's passed some legislation, or working with the Assembly and the State Senate to correct that.
Good.
As I said, he's trying to undo a lot of stuff. The man is truly down to earth.
Yes, he is.
I didn't realize it because sometimes, even in politics for 38 years, like myself, you find some people they become aloof or they become Machiavellian.
Right.
But he hasn't become that way, and I'm happy to say that.
Right.
I just want to do one shout out. East Orange, New Jersey, was the first community to have a city clerk that was Muslim, Cynthia Brown, and I think it's 3 or 4 others, but she was the first in America. East Orange has a lot of firsts in America. And
Yes.
that's for the good.
Yes. And let's. I do want to talk a little bit about that storm we had. One thing we have to realize is that the meteorologist said approximately 1 inch of snow.
They did.
Yes, they did.
They don't control Mother Nature.
No.
We got dumped. I know there had to be about 8 inches. No one was prepared for that. It brought everything to a standstill. Also, the League of Municipalities was going on, so I think a lot of people were out of town.
They were.
So I think people need to fall back a little bit, because I think a lot of the meteorologists got beat up on, because I remember not too long ago there was a storm, it's going to be bad, it's going to be bad. It wasn't so bad, and people were so upset. So now they don't over-exaggerate. Oh, there's going to be a little snow. So now prepare for the worst. So I just want to throw that in. But anyway, you were talking about East Orange. We are all a part of the East Orange family.
Right.
Now, I just want to have you to share some reflections about the Green administration. I am a big fan of our Green administration, our Mayor Ted Green. I think he's really coming and bringing a lot of good progress. Let's get some of your reflections on that.
As president of the Terrace Block Association, there was a home next to me that was boarded up. It's no longer boarded up.
Okay.
It was sold, as they say in that industry, for a song. As I was leaving to come here, people were looking to buy it. I'm seeing in my own neighborhood, there's a number of houses that were not just my street, that were boarded up. They're being repaired and fixed up.
Excellent.
See, these are all things that are going to increase the tax base. Now,
And the property value.
and the property value. Down where when I was a little kid, there was a street called Sterling Street. They're building something to do with hydroponics. I'm a former science teacher.
Yeah. I have hydroponics in my classroom and aquaponics right now. Okay.
They're building a hydroponic plant down there. It's been businesses that are moving into that mall that's across the street. If you have a business like that hydroponic business, that's only going to make that mall more valuable, and people are going to want to come to. I do notice that crime is basically down.
Yes, it is.
Under Ted Green's administration, and he's doing some things that are really getting the people involved. The trunk or treat. I made sure my block association people, as well as Third Ward County committees members, participated in that to make sure our kids could have a safe place to go and get. They want to get the trick or treat stuff.
Yes.
And so they went there. And it's not just my ward and Third Ward and the things that I'm involved with, but the mayor on the block. I mean, I had always been yelling and screaming. I said, I wish the mayor would go around to communities and bring everybody, bring the Board of Health, bring the fire department, police department.
And he does.
And he's doing that.
He does that. Yes.
Right.
I'm grateful for that. So let me just transition over. We got only a few more minutes. This interview is like, we need a part 2. What about some of the policy changes in Essex County? How are you guys feeling about that?
Well, I see our county executive all the time, Joe D, and I tell him he's done one thing that other park systems need to do around the country. He's made the parks thematic.
Yes.
As a track and field coach, I go down to Weequahic Park, as for instance,
Yes.
you have a cross-country track, because I coach cross-country, and you have an 8-lane track down there. You can play soccer, you can play football. They have an all-weather baseball and softball fields. That's just in Weequahic Park. And
Is Branchbrook Park?
Yes, Branchbrook
our
Park.
largest park.
Our largest park, as you said. He's done some fixing up in Wassessing Park.
Yes.
'Cause part of it is in Bloomfield, but the part that was in East Orange, it needed some things to be repaired. He's trying to get some of the streets repaired, but I have my own questions about about politicians at every level. I wish they would fund that to get the streets repaired, but they're doing the best. Those are some of the policies that have been. As a senior citizen, he's done a lot of great things, like a senior citizens health fair,
Yes.
and many other things. Turtleback Zoo under Joe D's administration
Yeah.
went
Joe
from just
DiVincenzo.
it went just from a petting zoo to where you need more than a day to get through the park.
And I think the revitalization of that area of South Mountain Reservation has been beautiful. And you did talk about the seniors. I have to say, the Mayor Ted Green of East Orange is always working hard for the seniors. Always working hard for everybody. But I love that our city has a great emphasis on the seniors. And we have quite a few senior facilities, and they are a major voting base. But I'm going to touch on a few more things real quick, but a few little seconds we have. They say that 30% of millennials voted this time, and I think that was an increase. I think we need more civics education to actually engage them more. In the year 2020, 2 major events will occur. What are they to you? What are those 2 major events?
The presidential election, and what's the other one?
The census.
And
yes.
Now the census, you
Census.
had better make sure you count it.
That's
Don't
right.
get lost in the sauce of the presidential election. The census is due April 1st, 2020. They're going to ask 8 questions: your age, your citizenship. And this is one that's unbelievable: Hispanic origin, race, relationship, your sex, tenure, meaning do you own your property or you rent it, and operational census questions, which are quite a few. And that's where they're going to hide the stuff. And I'm just going to say just one little job thing they're doing. The applications for census taker jobs opened up this past week. In New Jersey, they're paying $16 to $20 an hour. But don't forget that presidential race as well, because we're complaining about the current president and the things that he's done to hurt the country, but you got to do this census too. Everybody's got to be counted. Please don't try to hide.
And some people are afraid, they're trying to get in my business. People don't understand that a census is important for the allocation of services, of funding, of schools, of everything. And I really think that as the League of Muslim Voters and other organizations that deal with civics and voting, we need to start educating people on the importance of participating in the census and training them on how to complete the census, and maybe having some forums about these sorts of things.
That is our 2019 goal.
Right.
And I love it. And I brought that up, and I didn't realize it, but I know that you are working on it. But just to say, that other organizations need to participate in those sorts of things. But and our last note, what is a way we can help our youth in these current times that we live in?
Well, first of all, wherever, like if you look right there in East Orange,
Yes.
if you see how many participants, how many young men and women are out and involved in the sports programs.
Oh, yeah.
Because they want more. In the recreation department in East Orange, how many of our young folk, they want more. So they're reaching out.
Right.
Sometimes it's not about the sport. What kept me in coaching all of the years that I coached was the mentoring.
So you know what?
Because we could touch base with them like 7 days a week.
We need another episode because we're getting so deep. I just want to thank Mr. Jimmy Small and Mr. Abdul Hasan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
And I
having
want to
us.
thank everyone for tuning in to We the Village.